Humanity's obsession with them have existed long before the internet, but there is a special relationship between females and felines. So this is Study Abroad, and these are 3 famous cat ladies. Starting things off with Emily Bronte, born in England on July 20th, 1818, she was one of 5 children, although the 2 eldest would go on to die from tuberculosis, which happened to everyone back then apparently. But 3 of the children, Emily and her sisters Charlotte and Anne, would go on to be known collectively as the Bronte sisters, famous for their literary success, but not originally under their own names, since 19th century England felt no ways about women. So in 1847, Emily published Wuthering Heights under her male nom de plume, Ellis Bell. But before all of that, in 1842, Emily Bronte wrote about cats, specifically an essay titled Le Chat, which passionately disproved the arguments of cat haters. One precious diss in this essay goes, "But, says some delicate lady who has murdered half a dozen lapdogs through pure affection, the cat is such a cruel beast. If I could do that snap thing, I would, right now." Next is Florence Nightingale. Born on May 12, 1820 in Florence, Italy, which is how she got her name, her life was already set in a very specific direction. She came from a wealthy lineage and was expected to marry rich and live a life of luxury, which is what I would do. She didn't do that, because she's a good person. Instead, she found a calling in nursing, which was admirable since it wasn't really a viable job at the time. But she persevered and actually changed the healthcare game during the Crimean War by focusing on improving hygiene practices, thus reducing the amount of infections and therefore reducing the death toll. Even more so, wars were growing larger and there was an increasing demand for care, and hospitals were understaffed. Thus, Nightingale was put in charge of training nurses to lighten the load, and in doing so, she pioneered a whole new career path. But soldiers weren't the only ones for whom she cared. Nightingale owned about 60 cats in her lifetime, including ones named Mr. Bismarck and Big Pussy. She actually believed that cats possessed more sympathy and feelings than human beings. And as someone who had to deal with the aftermaths of war, could you blame her? Finally, Elizabeth Taylor. Born in London on February 27, 1932, art ran through her veins. Her mother was once an actress and later became an art dealer along with her father. So Taylor was encouraged to start performing from a young age, and then it wasn't such a surprise when she became one of the biggest names in Hollywood's golden age. Taylor starred in films like Cleopatra and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. But another thing Taylor is famous for is her many marriages. She had 7 or 8 depending on how you count, because she married one dude twice, but it was evident that she was a romantic, even more so in this letter she wrote to a lost friend. It goes, "I see you, my beauty boy, in the reflection of those shining black-brown rocks ahead of me. I see the green of thy eyes in every rain-sweated leaf shaking in my eyes. I remember the sweet smell of your fur against my neck when I was deeply troubled, and how, somehow, you made it better. You always knew when I hurt, and you made comfort for me as I did once for you when you were a broken kitten. Anyway, I love you, Cassius, and thank you for your beauty." That broken kitten thing was not a metaphor. Cassius was actually a cat. Elizabeth Taylor really loved her cat. So those were 3 feline fanatics. I hope you liked this video. If you did, consider liking it and subscribing to Snarled for other awesome content. And if you want to see more of this face for whatever reason, you can find me on YouTube at Nerdy and Quirky.